Hey everyone, this is James with Peakway Software, and this is going to be the start to a little mini tutorial series for Isles of Arthanos. We're doing the demo pre-alpha build for the Kickstarter. This is going to be a UI overview and just showing you where everything is so you can have a general idea before you start. So we're going to start off, I'm not going to get too in-depth with any of the features, but we're going to start off in the main menu, obviously. So we have new level, play level, and edit level. Now, right now, play level and edit level are essentially the same thing. You end up loading in a level that's already been created. Right now, it just determines whether you start in play mode or edit mode. And right now, when you're in play mode and play level, like when you hit this, you'll end up still being able to switch back to edit mode. So later on down the line, this will turn into just playing the actual game instead of, it won't have anything to do with editing. But for right now, just with the stuff we have done, they're kind of the same thing right now. So we're going to go ahead and go to new level. And now that we've loaded up the next screen, we have the terrain size that we choose, the level size. I'm going to go ahead and do 2K by 2K, which is actually 4 kilometers squared. Or 4 square kilometers, sorry. So it's actually 4 times bigger than the small map. So then we have the presets, which is the next thing you choose. And so these are basically, I'll sort of open these up and describe them a little bit. So we have terrain stamps, which sort of determine the formations that it'll pick between for randomly generating the terrain. It'll have which terrain textures it uses here, and you pick the low, medium, and high. Low is usually like for the shoreline, but since this is snowy, I just use snow. And then you choose like what type of grass you want just to cover the whole terrain in general. And then there's some other features in here. And all these things you can play with and create new presets or edit old ones to sort of combine your own unique looks, and then you can end up sharing those with the community as well. The biomes I'll get into in another video, but basically the biomes will make it so that it generates more than just the terrain when we load up a new level, and it pretty much start you off with a natural habitat to start in, and basically from there you just clear out everything you want to make areas for quests and buildings and towns and stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to start off with making a 2K snowy level, and I will see you after it loads because it takes a couple minutes, so I'm going to end up stopping the video for a second. Or you know what, I won't stop the video, I will just speed it up. I guess I should say. And so to start, let me just give you a general size reference of how big the 4 square kilometer maps are. Let me see before I start. So this is about how big it is, and let me just get closer to maybe a more first-person type of perspective. So you can sort of see, you know, even with the only 4 square kilometers, you know, you can make pretty big levels. You know, they're not going to be the size of, you know, Skyrim and Witcher and Fallout, but you know, you can still make a quality experience just from this level. And then you can also eventually just link levels together if you want to create, you know, a big experience. You just have to go through a loading screen again. It won't be as long as this one though, because that last loading screen, when you generate a level the first time, it's always a lot longer because you're doing a lot of computations and stuff. But normally you just load the level when it's done. It's a lot faster. So we'll start with how to navigate. And basically WASD, you know, moves you like you would think with a flying camera. And then you hold the right-click button to sort of aim where the camera points. So between WASD and holding right-click and moving your mouse, you can fly around the map. And so that's what we'll be spending a lot of your time in with this demo for the most part. That and just first-person walking, which is, you know, typical first-person controls, also with WASD. So we'll start going down the UI now. We'll start from left to right. So this is the terrain tab where we have all of our terrain tools. So we have, you know, standard, you know, raise, lower, flatten, smooth terrain, paint textures. Then we have painting biomes, which I'm going to have a whole nother video about, which basically, you know, explains how is it that our game can generate whole levels like this on its own, you know, smartly. So, and then you have painting textures and all that stuff. So that is the terrain tab. Let's go to the objects tab. So now we have placing objects, items, monsters. The difference between objects and items is that items are typically smaller. There's stuff that the player can interact with. Right now there's not much interaction, but that's pretty much the only difference between the two. Placing monsters is pretty self-explanatory. Here you can edit the items, which is the database for them. So when you want to add your own later, when we add support for that, you can just go through here. And then so basically you get folders, and you basically click what you want, and then you place it down. So now we'll go into the standard settings, and I'll get a little bit more in depth in the settings tab. So this controls a lot of level-based stuff. For example, cloud coverage. You can turn this to 0.75. You'll notice a drastic change in the clouds. We have fog distance. We have the hour of the day. When we find the sun, you can change. We also have, just light intensity and just other level related stuff. But the two, I guess, big things you need to remember are setting the player start and computing pathfinding. Now the pathfinding is for the AI, so when you place like the deer or the wolf in the level that we have right now, you want to compute your pathfinding before you press play, or else they won't know what to do. And so for setting your player start, this determines where you start off in the level. So basically you click set player start, and then you click and you can hold and drag wherever you want to set it down. And you'll see the arrow, and basically that just determines where you're facing. And you can rotate this by holding shift and clicking and just moving your mouse around. It'll point to your mouse. That actually applies for objects as well. When you have an object selected, you can shift click to rotate it. And we also have the edit transform button for manually rotating and moving objects, but I don't have one selected right now. Let's see. So let's just go ahead and go up top here now, the top left. So this button right here will take you back to the main menu, which we're not going to do. This is your settings for your quality settings, so you can adjust to run better on your PC. And then we have saving the map, which I'm not going to do right now. And so you basically, the first time you save, you want to hit this button to save it and then determine what it is. And then everything after that, you hit save this button, it'll save over that old file. If you want to save it as something new, you hit the save as button right here. So then the next one is obviously the play mode. So now we're in first person play mode, and we can walk around this level. And this is where you start to get a real understanding of how big this level is compared to others. It's not extremely huge for open world games, but when we have multiple different islands that are all this size, you'll have a pretty good experience. So that's actually about it for this tutorial. Just wanted to do a basic UI and let you know where things were, and also just how to navigate through the game. And that's it. The next tutorial we're going to go over buildings and the structure system, and I'll see you guys next time.